Hey y'all, it's Christy from Teadoddles, and it's time for my next sewing tutorial. I am going to put this is technically called interfacing for this shirt. I will do a different tutorial for banding, but today we're going to talk about putting interfacing in the neck hole of a knit garment. So I'd like to first say welcome new subscribers, welcome back subscribers. I'm happy to have you here with me in my maker shenanigans. I do like to do the sewing things, the yarny things, and the DIY things. So you'll see a little bit of all of that here on this channel. If you like to make things, you might like it here. Alright, so this interfacing consists of two pieces. I did label them when I cut them. You can see my little F right there for front, because the front is slightly deeper than the back, as is the case in most garments with the neck holes. I don't know why that sounds so funny to me. I'm silly, y'all. I'm a little tired today, so forgive me. All right, so I did already sew this together end to end, and I just simply put them right sides facing together and sewed for the seam allowance that is required for this garment. And then I'm going to place it face down here, and I'm going to align my seams with the seams in my shirt. Those are my shoulder seams, so that's where that goes. And I will align this. I'll pin this down. I didn't bring my pins over here, but let me grab on one right quick. These are my shorter pins. But what I usually do is, a lot of times I'll mark the center if I have to stretch a lot. This one's fairly aligned, and that's because it's a facing. It's an interfacing instead of a band, like a band on a t-shirt. If you see, a lot of t-shirts have the band on it, and you can see the band, and so the band is part of the shirt. So when you make a band for a t-shirt that's going to be above the collar line, you have to make it slightly shorter and stretch it to fit, so that, because it's going to technically be smaller than the neck hole when it stands up at the top, so that it doesn't, if you've ever had a misshapen neck band, what's happened is usually it's stretched out of shape, or it's it wasn't made the right size for the neck hole, because you stretch it as you go. And in that case, I would mark my centers and align the ends, because I'm going to have to stretch this to fit. That way when you flip it up, it sits correctly. But like I said, I'll do another video for an actual band, neck band. This is, like I said, an interfacing. So, all right, let's see. Now, this is going to leave me a raw edge, which I could iron before I sew it, but I prefer to iron it after I sew it, because I just find that easier to do. What you could also do, if you wanted to, you could fold this in half all the way up and stitch it, and then stitch that to the face and turn it to the inside. It's just going to be bulkier if you do that, because this is so narrow. That just gives you a finished edge. Being that this is knit, you don't have to finish the edge. I'm going to decide once I flip it in if I'll finish the edge or not, because I'm going to show y'all how to do an understitching as well that will help you turn it and keep from, you know, when you do seams like this and you flip it and flip this to the inside, and sometimes you have this fabric will be showing above it, and you don't want that. Maybe sometimes you do, but if you don't, I'm going to show you how to do an understitch that'll help you tuck that under nice and neat and prevent that from coming up like that. But first we'll do a seam. This is going to be a narrower seam than my seams at the shoulders. It'll be more like 3/8. I think this is a 1/2 inch seam on the shirt. I'm not completely sure. Most tissue paper patterns have a 5/8 inch seam. So then I'm going to flip this over. Go ahead and pin my back as well. This just makes sure, this just helps me get things aligned. See, this is a little bit off, but I'll get it stretched right when I get to the sewing machine. I usually start at a seam and then go from there. And having it pinned already when I go over there in a couple of places just helps me make sure things are fitting together right when I get over there. So I'm going to sew this up, and then I'll come right back. Like I said, I'm going to use a 3/8 inch seam, slightly smaller than the regular seam. And that's just because I don't want as much bulk in here. Which you can do grading in your seam to clip your, I'll show you about that too when we come back, to grade your seams to help prevent bulk in certain areas. So let me go sew this right quick and I'll be right back. All right, I've got my interfacing sewn right sides together. And so normally what you would do is turn this here and then iron that. It just gives you a nice finished edge without a collar of any sort. But like I said, when you do that, sometimes it can show little bits of your interior fabric, which can be nice sometimes. So what you do to do understitching is what it's called. I would flip my interfacing up and flip my seam up. Y'all, I wound up doing a 1/4 inch instead of 3/8 of an inch. This is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be, but you would flip it up just like this, and you would stitch. So you flip your seam to your interfacing. And you can do this anywhere you want a really crisp, where two fabrics meet and you want a really crisp line. This, you do the understitching. Then I would go and stitch, well, for this, in this case, 1/8 of an inch from here to hold this down. So then when you pull it down, it tends to pull more of the top fabric under. And so then you don't see this part of the fabric. It's not as exposed, and it gives you a cleaner edge. So I'm going to go do my understitch, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my understitching done. Just so you can see it, it's not the greatest because my edges were a little wonkily on this garment, but you're not going to see that, so it doesn't really matter. It's going to be tucked inside. But this is what I mean. We've stitched the seam to the interfacing. So now when I go to turn that under, it pulls more of the front fabric in, so then you wouldn't see the edge of this when I iron it. So I'm going to iron it, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right quick. Just one little piece. Okay, I've got it ironed, and you can see from the front now it looks nice and neat. And I'm going to finish ironing the rest of this, and then I'm going to put a top stitch around the outside edge of this just to hold that interfacing in. Some people will leave it free flowing, but I know that if I do that, it's going to need to be ironed before I wear it every time. And I try to do the least amount of ironing when it comes to clothing as I can, unless I'm making them. So let me get this ironed and top stitch, and then I'll show you the finished neck hole. Okay, my neck is all finished. The only thing I'm going to do is go through with some scissors and trim this up so it doesn't roll up too much. And I'm just going to get close to it like this, just to make that a little bit neater. And I'll do it when I'm not on camera so I can make it neater than that. Hard to do when you're on camera, something like that. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim that up, and then my neck edge will be nice and finished. Although this is exposed, I'm not too worried about it because it's it is knit, and knit does not, like I said, most knits. There are some that I've had that do unravel, but they usually just curl up. And this is going to be on the inside for the most part anyway, so. And the only thing I have left to do to this shirt so I can wear it is finish my sleeves. And I'll do that much in the same as I did my hem. I will just do it slightly closer to the size of this instead of my hem. I had to double on it. So this shirt is almost complete. And the only thing I really need to do to finish it off is put me a label in there. So I like to put labels with my logo on it so that if anybody else ever gets this shirt, because I have donated things I've made, they'll know who made it. So I did used to stamp it, but I need to get a more fabric stable ink because it washes away after a little bit. So maybe I'll look into that because it's easier to just stamp. Then you have like the tagless back, which I like. I prefer on my shirts most of the time. So that is your little tutorial for how to finish a neck hole with interfacing, and that's knit. If I was doing this with cotton or anything that unravels, I would have tucked under this end and stitched it so that you wouldn't have anything like that exposed. But on knits, you can leave things exposed a little more because it, like I said, doesn't unravel. So next time I see y'all, I'll be working on a different top and I have something different for y'all. And if there's anything you would like to see, as per usual, just let me know down in the comments, or you can shoot me an email. My email address is always down below. I will be back on Friday with something fun. I haven't decided yet, but I will see y'all then. I hope y'all having a great week, and remember to live life creatively. Until next time, bye.